Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Today I want to talk a little bit about my experience on my last trip doing one park per day rather than park hopping. This is the first time I've done this since I was a kid, pretty much. I've always been a big proponent of park hopping. I always tell everyone it's worth it, you should do it, build it into your schedule. It's definitely worth the extra cost of the ticket. But on my last trip, because I was trying to save a bit of money and I knew I only had so many days, I decided to do one park per day. I went down for 5 days, but I only had a 4-day ticket and decided to not do park hopping because there was a deal that Disney had done for 4-day tickets and I was already saving a good amount of money. I didn't really want to add on an extra $100 or so just to park hop. So I thought this would be a great time to experiment and kind of see how things worked out for me in the parks. And if I was still gonna hate the idea of one park per day, or maybe I would just be a enlightened, changed person. So I admit that after day one of being in the parks and only doing one park per day, it was my Epcot day, there was a part of me that was very tempted to just go to a ticket booth and upgrade. Why? Because it's just something that I'm used to. I'm used to the flexibility of park hopping. I would say that that is one of the cons of not having a park hopping ticket is you just don't have flexibility. You don't have the option if you do want to hop to another park and catch a fireworks show somewhere else that evening or eat somewhere else or just kind of change it up. You don't really have the ability to do that. You're kind of stuck with the park for the day. While you can, yes, take breaks, maybe go to Disney Springs, go to the boardwalk, do something else. That's it. Your day is going to be whatever that park is. On the flip side, the pro of one park per day is that you really plan to get the most out of that park as you can in a single day. And that might mean really experiencing more of the details, the quieter areas, eating food there, taking in some of the atmosphere, the performers. I think that when you do have to fill an entire day with one park, especially depending on the park, you need to find other things to do besides just rides. Otherwise, you might feel like you're done in half a day or 3/4 of a day or whatever it might be. And this kind of forces you to fill your day with all of those extra things that maybe you don't give yourself a chance to do when you're park hopping. You might say, I'm going to go to Epcot and just ride Test Track and Mission Space and maybe Soarin' and get out of there and go ride some other rides. There's not that sort of pressure to do the top rides in a park and then keep on moving. So you can build out a schedule that takes in everything. And this was really great for my flower and garden day at Epcot because I really got to slow down and enjoy the festival, walk through the butterfly garden, eat some food, have a cider flight, just enjoy the atmosphere as a whole. There was a point where I just sat down in Norway and took in what was going on around me. I actually met someone who watches the channel and we got to chat and it was all good because I was not in a rush to go anywhere. I was just sitting and enjoying people watching and everything else going on. So that's something that I find that I don't do as much when I'm park hopping because I feel like I always need to get to the next thing in the next place and keep the day moving. The con of this is that you do feel like you are trying to pack the whole park into one day and therefore it can be very exhausting days. I was waking up early to actually work from the hotel room since I freelance, but then I was leaving and spending my whole day in the park, and even if there were breaks in the in-between, it was still a very long day. You're looking at going to the park either at opening or a couple of hours into opening and closing it out just so you can feel like you're getting the most out of that park. Now this is for a trip like mine where I only had 4 days. So you know, if you did have the 7-day trip, you might say, well, I'm going to do 2 dedicated Magic Kingdom days or 2 dedicated Epcot days or whatever it might be that interests you the most. And then you can take your time and take more breaks and all of that. So this is a little more geared towards the fact that I have 4 days and 4 parks to explore, and therefore I wanted to really get the most out of each single day. But it was very tiring at the end of every day because I was pretty much trying to spend as many hours as I could just to kind of get that full experience. But the pro is, and this is kind of goes back to what I said before about having to do more things in those parks and explore more things. I actually ate more in the parks than I normally do because of this. I was really trying to book restaurants within park walls rather than elsewhere, other resorts, or getting quick bites somewhere. So I did have a sit-down meal at Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. And then at Epcot I ended up going to Club 33. If you did see my vlog on that, but still I was able to like slow down and eat the food and experience like the culinary aspects of some of the parks because I had all of that time. So I wanted to make my breaks be my restaurant time rather than leaving the park. So I got to experience eating in restaurants that I normally don't or haven't in a long time. Be Our Guest was one of them. Yak and Yeti was another. Hadn't been to either in quite a while, so it was nice to actually make the time to do that. Another con for me to go back again is that it was kind of sad to both say hello and say goodbye to the park in the same day. There was something about being like, yes, I'm in Magic Kingdom, and then at the end of the day, knowing I was not coming back to that park again. Again, this is specific to my 4 days, 4 parks trip. Obviously, if you have more time, this is not going to be an issue, but for me personally, it was a little sad to like say goodbye to Magic Kingdom after just one day, knowing I wasn't going to go back and say goodbye to Epcot and so on and so forth. It's nice when you know that you have another day baked in for a park, or it's nice when you're park hopping and you know you can get to a park multiple times, maybe once in the evening and then go back the next morning, however you want to plan your time. And so it was a little sad to just know that all I had was that day, and at the end of that day, that was it. That was the last time I was gonna see that park for the whole trip. Honestly, forcing myself to do a trip where it was just one park a day and I wasn't park hopping was an interesting experience, and it kind of opened my eyes to it. I always was a person who said, park hop or bust. I didn't really see the point of not doing it. But in this situation, I really understood how saving a few dollars was helpful, and being able to slow down and take it day by day with the parks was actually kind of nice. It kind of forced me to do that, which was very different and a little weird in the beginning. Like I said, I almost went for spending more on park hopper, but I'm glad that I did it the way that I did it. And I definitely can understand now the benefits of doing just a single park per day. Will I do it again? I'm not sure. I mean, I do really like the flexibility of park hopping, and honestly, I'm looking to get a new annual pass again towards the latter half of this year, which obviously comes with park hopping built in. So with that being said, I would probably take advantage of that, but I'm not opposed to doing it again in the future. If you're somebody who actually prefers not park hopping to park hopping, and that's how you normally tour in Disney World, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know why. I'd love to know how you plan your days around that and why you opt to do that rather than park hopping. Maybe you mix it up. I'd like to know why you do that as well. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe. I make videos every single week. Got some good videos coming up over the next few weeks, and while I might not be at Galaxy's Edge, y'all, I promise you that my content's still good. I feel like I couldn't really compete this last week with everybody going for the opening in Disneyland, but you know, it is what it is. We'll get there at some point. I'm sure you'll see me cry. It's gonna be a good time. Anyway, thank you for tuning in and watching, and as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.